Somehow Tatsugate keeps delivering. There's always more to talk about. So I made the video about even if the decision works, you should evaluate if it was actually a good choice, right? Something that I keep seeing over and over in the comment section, and people keep bringing up over and over, saying like, oh, you got to take risks, Sajam. Don't you know you got to take risks? And I'm like, dude, have you guys watched me play? I've taken a risk or two in my life. A lot of people in my comment section said like, you know, sometimes you have to just do head empty, high risk, just do it things. You know, you can't always play by the book. The book is the safe, consistent, solid, effective options that are over here. And these are the kind of choices that people talk about the most. And I think the kind of choices that make the most sense. Using pokes that are not scary to use. You know, you get a knockdown doing a safe jump or doing some kind of safe pressure, keeping your frame traps tight. Now, that's not to say that these options don't have times where they're wrong to do, but these are this kind of option. Now, the other kind of option is the high risk, high reward decision making, right? Which the EX Tatsu from this video was. High risk, high reward options require justification. They're not the head empty, just do it like Unga kind of, you know, descriptor that people apply to them. They can be, right? But to use them effectively, they require justification. They require understanding of what's going to happen and thinking, right? In fact, it's kind of the opposite. These options, these like safe, effective, consistent, solid options, don't actually require very much thinking. They take thinking to learn them and understand them and implement them into your game. But once you know what the safe, solid, good option is, you don't have to think, you just do it. High risk options are the options you think about in the match because they are high risk and you don't want to do them all the time. They're the options that require you to say, okay, I think I can take this high risk option now because of this, this, and this. You know, when you knock someone down with soul, you just do a safe jump. This is the option that's over here. You safe jump them over and over and over and over, right? Because why? You don't want to get hit by DP. You want your pressure to after to be guaranteed. Instead of doing a safe jump, doing air dash and going for overhead or empty jump low or run up command throw or whatever this option is. It's the option you do because you think to yourself, I've done this option or this thing in a bunch of times and this is how they've reacted to it. So now I can justify taking a higher risk option. If you can justify your high risk decision, if you do it and it doesn't work, it's okay. It happens to literally every player on the planet. High risk, high reward options are obviously valuable and they're integral as a fighting game player, right? You have to use them. The idea that you shouldn't take risks or risks are for bad players is completely wrong because the best players in the world take risks often. Not too often as they're required to win. How many of you in the chat have had someone tell you, or you realize about your own gameplay, wow, I played too safe? I know players that are really good that have that issue. I think honestly, like a lot of things, to get better at taking risks, you just have to do it a lot and you have to find justification for why they do the risk. When you get hit by something in fighting game that you think is stupid, right? You're like, who the fuck would do that? Ask yourself, why did they do it? Did they know you were going to do some option? Is my timing super linear? Is like my decision making super linear? Is it that like I block 2 attacks and then I always do something after 2 attacks? Asking yourself, was that the right choice there? It's the start to improvement. It's the path. The discussion is not like, hey, don't do EX Tatsu because it's risky. The point was that you should consider if there was a better option that could solve the same thing. If Kage thought he is going to poke here, was there a better option than what you did right there? Maybe you did something and it worked, but there was a better choice that would have gotten you more damage, better positioning, maybe it would have killed instead. And if that's the case, then maybe you should change your decision making. And if that's not the case, then you probably made the correct decision, given the circumstances and given what you think was going to happen. This is like a good way to think about it. If any hit will kill them, then the safest possible way to get that hit is the best choice. If your opponent is on a pixel, the button that is the least risk is also the button that is the highest reward. Does that make sense? The Karen wasn't on a pixel though. I'll say it clearer into the mic. If someone is on a pixel, all buttons are of equal value if they hit. Well, actually, if they block the attack, then the attack with the most frame advantages of the, you know what I mean? Like you have to be so vague and then at the same time so specific because people, they'll try anything to disrupt the point. You know, they try so hard to escape any kind of reasoning that you present. I saw comments about this and a lot of people said like, well, in the middle of the match, it's hard to know. And like evaluation like that, first of all, you know, you won't be able to do the best evaluation possible in the middle of the match anyway. But second of all, post-match is when you do the evaluation. There was like a comment that was like, well, everybody was talking about how you should have fun playing fighting games. And now you're like asking yourself, you got to critique yourself. And it's like, well, yes. Who says that figuring out new answers to how to improve is not fun, right? That's why you can play them for years, because even figuring out decision making in all those different moments takes time and effort to figure out. And also, yeah, as Ryan says, if you just want to hit buttons and go burr in fighting games, that's totally fine. The reason this is such a big topic is because look at my comments and look at my chat when this comes up. So many people are incapable of thinking about fighting games or choosing not to think about fighting games at a deeper level and understand that risk reward and decision making in fighting games is such a grand topic. Remember when I said, I don't know, maybe 3 days ago, that the hard part about fighting games is not the mechanical skill long term, it's the decision making? You're starting to see it. I hate this Unga idea, this brain empty, I just do the thing, me dumb. It's like a funny meme, but it's like so tired. It's uninteresting and like it doesn't move the discussion anywhere. I think if you don't think about your own play or even fighting games in that way, that's okay, but you also shouldn't try to discuss them in a complex way and argue with people who are. If your goal in fighting games is like, I want to hit buttons, drink, hang out with my friends, play in a lobby and goof around until 4 in the morning, like no one is stopping you. You know, not every video I make is about some high level concept. A lot of it is just like, hey man, go have fun with your friends and enjoy fighting games. But if I make a video that's not about that and you're just like, hey man, what happened to having fun, bro? Then go have fun. Listen. Yeah, you know, Brian, sometimes when you're playing someone, you just realize you're like, oh, it's one of those guys. If I just block every time, I will win. Or if I'm meaty, nothing fancy, they will never get up off the ground. I find myself thinking that a lot in fighting games. Oh, that's how it's gonna be, huh? If it isn't Jimmy the Jumper in my side of town, it's a jumper's paradise in here, huh? All right, I'll take this motherfucker to Anti-Air City.